this is the end of it. We have a short demonstration now. I have some questions for you to see and for the students to try to answer. So let me just shift into that and we will see if that works. All right. Let's have a little look here. Question time? Yeah, that's right. There are some there's a question time first that we can fit in. So are there any questions, either online through Zoom or anyone here has a question?
现场的各位以及网上的各位有任何问题的话，现在可以提出。在结束了 Q&A 环节之后，那个 Andrew 老师会进行一个公开课，给孩子进行一个 verbal 的训练。
这个训练是几点？是今天吗？
这是也是对公开课，是从4点半到5点。
我就想问一下，我刚才听了，他是看算总分的，不要求每个部分必须要几分，没有这个要求吧？只要看总分7分8分就行了，不像那个
是每
个部分的7分8分。对。So it should be viewed as parts, different full sections, and every section we have the like 9 points for verbal, 9 points for.
Right? Yeah, the staining, they call it the staining. The maximum is 9 in the 4 parts, but not the essay.
对，就是词汇有9分，然后你拿了几分，然后阅读有9分，你拿了几分，它每一项都会看。4个部分都会看。
我不能这个9分了，但这个5分不行的，是这样。
So if she said, I got 9 in one section and the other 5 in other section, is that okay for apply for the private school?
I mean, you know, they want to see, they're going to take the students who do well in most of them, but it's certainly good to show that you have a particular skill in math. If you're going to get 9 in math, I don't know. I mean, the school can choose. It's better to do well in as many as possible.
对，老师的意思是说，希望大家还是能平均的拿到一个比较好的分数。当然，如果你有某几项可以拿到9分，那会给学校带来一个更好的影响，因为他会看到说这个小孩在某一方面可能有天才或天赋的地方，这样子。
Good question, though.
第二个问题就是说，刚才老师说要通过阅读积累词汇，那么就是这个阅读的话，我就想问一下是怎么样的阅读？还是平时就是图书馆借的书回来针对性的读，还是广泛的就是练习，还是上所谓的那个阅读课？
Because you just mentioned that to develop their verbal skills and reading skills is through reading, a lot of reading. So they are asking what kind of things you think can increase their reading ability. Is that just reading from the books we learn from the library, or just read a lot of different subjects?
I would say different things. I would say magazines, a lot of magazines, because they're quick articles, magazines about culture, about our country, history, and you're looking for the words that you don't understand in a magazine article. You can check the words, write them in a small book, and keep the book here. It's a little vocabulary book, and then you can check the words. You know?
所以 Andrew 老师推荐我们大家都可以去让孩子尝试阅读一些杂志，包括说关于国家的、关于地理的、关于历史的。然后因为在杂志上面都是一些短小精悍的文章，然后里面也会出现一些比较难的单词。那最好的方法就是碰到不认识的单词的时候呢，可以让孩子能够立刻就可以查字典，把它记下来，然后把它写在一个小册子上，然后让他随身携带，或者是就直接记在他们的手机上。如果他是有这个手机的配备的话，那这样子他就可以随时拿出来看。
Yeah, there are 2 websites also which I can recommend. Newseller, do you know Newseller? I can't write it. Anyway, we can give, yeah. Oh.
老师现在在给大家推荐2个提高单词的2个网站。
These are current events websites about news, about politics, about entertainment, about fashion. And they're very interesting. Maybe in your school you use Newseller. I use it all the time in my teaching because you can tailor it to the grade level. The website allows you to increase the vocabulary level. Lindsay, so I'm explaining that this website, Newseller, you can click on high-level vocabulary and the words become higher level. You can click on low-level vocabulary and the words are simpler. So you can do that at home. If the words are too difficult, you can change the vocabulary. But still keep a book and write down words you don't know. That's a good way to build vocabulary through the context of reading articles.
然后老师刚刚推荐了2个网站，这2个网站都是可以在上面看到一些政治新闻，以及一些娱乐新闻，然后还有一些其他方面的新闻。然后 Newseller 这个网站的话，它比较特殊一点，就是第一个 news 开头的那个网站，它是你可以选择 lower vocabulary level， 就你选择低一点的词汇能力的话，它会给你匹配低词汇能力的文章。然后你选高词汇能力的文章的话，高词汇能力的话，它会给你匹配高词汇的文章。然后老师也建议大家在读文章的时候，随时把不认识的单词记下来，并且把这些单词放到整个背景，就是文章背景里面去理解它的意思，这样你才能更好的学习这个单词。
If I may say, I think learning lists of words is not the best way to prepare for this test because it makes students nervous that they will forget. And so as parents, I understand your idea will be to help them and give them books and have them learn vocabulary lists. And I wish that were true, but in my experience, it's not as useful as it is to be reading different sorts of articles and books, but not learning lists.
然后 Andrew 老师说，他很理解家长就是非常急切的想要孩子学会很多单词的心情，但是如果把单词单单拎出来列成一个 list， 然后去背的话，它其实并不是一个有效的学习单词的方法，因为孩子很容易紧张，也很容易压力过大，他们很容易去忘记刚刚背会的单词。最好的学习单词的方法还是通过阅读，理解文章前后的意思，去理解这个单词。虽然一开始学习单词的速度会很慢，但是他记住单词的效率也会更高。
In a teaching classroom situation, we do use lists, but they're not 100 words by next week. It's like maybe 20 words, 20 or 30 new words. But sometimes I've seen long lists and students have been given the very difficult task of memorizing 100 words by next week. That's what I mean, to tell you that it's not effective. But learning 30 words a week and understanding the meaning of the words is much better.
理解单词的意思其实是最重要的。刚刚所说的也不是说你把单词列出来就不行，但是你把单词列成20个一列，你去背那些新单词的话，它也是一个有效的背单词的行为。但是如果你列出来100到200个单词一列，让他去背，在下个星期之前背出来，这就是非常没有效率的。
Yeah. Okay, and so reading is a good way, and there's no doubt about that. I mean, your children are reading in school now, and so there's nothing better than to have a vocabulary book. I just want to say that again. Keep a small vocabulary book and look at it when you have 5 minutes, when you have 10 minutes before bed. You're gonna, something like that to keep the words fresh in the mind. That's probably a good idea.
Andrew 想要强调一下的是，就是为孩子准备一个小本子，然后小本子上让他每天记下来自己遇到的但是不会的单词，然后在空余的时间，比如说在上下学的途中，或者说是在睡觉前10分钟看一看本子上的单词，让这些单词在脑子里再过一遍，让自己再熟悉这些单词，是背单词的最高效的方法。
Are there any other questions?
还有更多的问题吗？
Yeah.
So how are the writing rated and how are the writing shared with the school? And is there any sample like writing topics that?
Yeah, we have some on this example here. No, we didn't do it yet, but we're going to. But the students won't get a result for it. They won't know how well they did. It's not recorded, graded, and sent back. it's a way for the school to just generally assess the student's ability, maybe in English, maybe in grammar, sentence structure, and even vocabulary. And it's not the main point to determine whether the student will go into the school or not. All right, it's an opinion essay. And they want to see if the student is creative, has ideas, and can think independently.
Andrew 老师的意思是说，作文的一个考量标准我们是不知道的，因为送到学校之后，学校并不会给你出一个最终的成绩结果，而是会怎么说，就是考察你很多的方面，比如说软的方面就是你的观点以及你怎么解释你的观点，硬的方面就是你对英文的理解和用法，比如说那个语法、词汇的运用之类的。
Okay, is that okay for your answer? Okay, it's always good to practice writing. In every class that we give here, there's always a writing practice part of the class. It's to develop good writing skills. I have to tell you, as an educator and a college instructor, there's a lot of bad writing out there, and students have not learned some of the basics in writing, and it's good to start young. And I'm talking of native English-speaking students, American students. They just are lazy and they miss the basics. So it's good to practice writing.
Andrew 老师也认为，因为他是在大学里面做教授嘛，然后他看到大学学生的文章，就同时包括美国学生以及中国学生的文章，很多学生的文章都是非常不成熟的，写的也不是特别好。然后他认为写文章还是很重要的一个部分，然后最好是从小就开始学起，然后培养写文章的习惯。
I'm a grammar teacher, I'm a writing instructor, and there are forms and structures for academic writing that are very teachable. And you'll be surprised how fast the grade or the level, I should say, of writing can increase. And it's sometimes dramatically fast that the student can improve his writing skills or her skills.
Andrew 老师是一个语法老师，同时也是一个写作老师。通过不断的练习写作，你们可以其实很惊奇的看到孩子在写作上面的进步是可以非常大的。
Good. Any other questions? Yeah.
还有别的问题吗？
So my sister just took the CTP test, and I think it's also provided by the ERB website. And I'm wondering like if there's any similarities or like the score can reflect some kind of the ISEs.
Yeah, I think they're related. The CTP I have seen before. Yeah. It's like the LPAC, which is another test. You know, these grade level tests. The LPAC is a little bit more fundamental, I think, or rudimentary than this, just because there's a lot to do in a short time. This is much more demanding. It's a difficult test. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Vocabulary and so on. There are no sort of picture animation type things that you have to look at in some of the lower level tests. I don't know if the test you're referring to has picture information on it or not, but some of the tests do. So I would say perhaps some things are related, but generally the level of achievement is expected to be higher here because it's vocabulary based.
CTP 就是叫什么 Comprehensive Testing Program， 也是那个 ERB 的网站提供的。
就老师的意思是说 ，IC 的这个等级的难度都会比较高一点，因为它是私校会要求的，然后会跟这跟 SSAT 的这个等级是一样的。对。
We have some from someone. So just quick. So for ISE, did you get the score first and decide what school you would send the score to, or can you kind of like decide if the score wasn't too good, can you hold on to it?
I'm sorry, I'm not completely sure on that.
So the ISE, right? Did you see the results immediately, or did you?
It takes about 2 weeks.
Oh, it takes about 2 weeks.
2 weeks, and online you can check. Oh, and then you'll see it online. it's posted on the website, and you enter your identification, and then you can see the results. But it's 2 weeks.
Decide whether you want to send it to your dream school or not.
Well, I'm not sure exactly the route for that. I would have to double check on the process after the results come. Yeah.
Online, and there is like who says, what is the difference about the test between online at home or on site? What is your opinion?
The test.
Yeah, I mean the difference.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen the online test. The online test is, as far as I know, relatively new. It's a new option. It's digital, and so everything is clicking. The essay would be typed. The information is the same. It's just an online digital version. So it's not different information, the same principles, the same concepts in math. It's just the way that it's administered.
So they are asking, do you suggest having tests at home or on site?
That's good. I've been teaching online at my college for 2 years. We haven't gone back. We're still teaching online. In my view, taking lessons at home online is not the best option. To go to the test center, to go to the school, to feel the adrenaline in your body, to get ready, to sort of be in a room and take a test, I think is in a place that's not as familiar, you see, as your home. I have a feeling is an option that will perhaps keep you more alert. And there are fewer distractions. I mean, your dog can be walking by, and there can be any number of things that distract you from, doing your absolute best. But it's a good question. I would recommend going to the center.
所以 Andrew 老师还是建议大家要去考试中心或者是有相关的这个考试学校，因为在家里的话会有一点不正式的感觉，也会影响考试能够发挥。We also have questions like how many times of the ISEE exam per year will be conducted every month or every quarter?
It's not every month. There is a season for it. And I can't remember exactly the times, but that's in the rest of the information that's going to be given at a later stage, the dates. And you can take it 2 or 3 times, by the way. You don't have to take it. It's not only one time. You can repeat the ISEE, and they will accept the higher score. So if you take it, a month later, but it's not done every month throughout the year. I know that. And so if your score is low, you can wait a little bit, take it again.
Okay. 所以 Andrew 老师说，我们这个具体的这个就是包括1年有几次，然后每一次是怎么样报名，包括它的这个申请季，其实学校有的9月1号已经开始了，有的是10月1号会开始，所以我们要怎么样去利用这一个时间去给学校提交出我们最好的一个成绩。我们会在下次的这个专题讲座当中还会继续的跟大家来说明。
Maybe we can check on the months that the test is available. But that's why it's useful to register at least 2 months before, because it's not an ongoing test around the year.
我们可以每个月去 check 去检查，去看一下自己想要的那个时间和地点的考试是不是在的，可以报名的，这样会比较有效一点。所以这也是为什么你要提前2个月就开始准备报名的事情。
Okay, good.
May I ask another question, please?
Another question?
Yeah. Can I?
Someone speaking through here. So Fifi will get to that question. Sure, we can answer it for you.
Okay. So you said the students can take multiple tests, right? And then you use the one with the highest score to apply for the private school.
Yeah, but I don't know how many times you can take it. I would have to double check, but it's not you don't just take it one time only. It can certainly be retaken. Mm-hmm.
But will the private school that we want to go to know all the scores of different tests, or they only know the one with the highest score?
I have to check exactly when the results are given, if the variety of results are published to the school, or if it's just the highest one. I really would have to double check on it. It's a good question, and I don't know off the top of my head. So I will defer to our administrative assistants who can help you to get that answer. I do apologize, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay, so we have an answer. How about that? That's very fast.
就是我们现在的这个考试，以前呢是每6个月只能考一次，现在已经改成是同一个级别每个考试每一季可以考一次，最多可以在一个申请季考3次。就申请季的话是春夏一个季，然后秋季一个季跟冬季一个季。所以比如说他是下一个学年要入学的，他在这一个学年一般的截止日期是1月或者2月，那么他可以在前一年，也就是今年的春季、夏季的时候考一次，秋季的时候考一次，再到明年的这个冬季，也就是在1月份的时候，它截止日期之前再考一次。所以它其实准备的时候，你是可以考这个3次来进行递交的。
那 what about the result? Which one they are going to use? Like 他们用哪个最高的成绩？怎么看
If you take the test 2 times, is the school going to see both? Is the question, both results? Or are they going to see just the higher one if the student retakes the test and there's a higher one? Yeah, maybe both. We will double check, but we think both. We can check that on the ERB website and get back to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure. All right, great question, by the way. Yeah, I wish I knew the answer to that definitively, but I don't. So that's about it. I think any other final questions, maybe one more we can do, and then we'll do a little demonstration and give you a sense of, what to expect in a classroom, which is what I do.
就是我们孩子现在不是7年级吗？像刚刚老师说写作很重要，那我们还没开始怎么办？因为6年级都是写作文的，现在才开始7年级。没听清楚啊！就是我孩子就是6年级不是写作文嘛，那现在7年级还没开始写作，反正老师说写作很重要，有什么建议好？
So her question is her daughter just came here. She was studying in China for 6th grade. Now she is entering 7th grade this year. So how to improve her writing skills, especially for essay?
Okay. I would suggest a tutor one-on-one. And you have a teacher directly helping her, because the trouble with school, if you don't mind me saying it like that, is that there are a number of students with different issues, okay? And there's one teacher. When the student has to get to the grade level of writing, it's not going to happen in the classroom. It can happen through private tutoring, and which is what I do as well, and a lot of students who need to get their writing up to the grade level. That's one option.
他的建议是，如果你想要提高你的 writing skill， 因为你的孩子是从中国来的嘛，所以他建议你去上那种写作私教课。这样的话，老师可以更直接的，就是找出你孩子的问题所在，以及帮他制定一个提高 writing skill 的一个就是计划，这样会比较有效。
哪里找？现在外面这个老师就是英语老师的专栏上，真的各种老师都有，来标准。
So she's asking like how to find a proper writing teacher for her daughter.
Yeah, we can do it here. And because this is what we do. We have a lot of private students needing to get their writing skills to a higher level. It's hard to do it on your own. It's hard to be motivated. It's hard to know the mistakes in grammar. These days in classrooms, even where your children are, teachers stamp papers. They don't read every word. And so when we have private tutoring, it allows the instructor to show the student the mistakes they're making directly one-on-one. I don't think there's a better way. And it doesn't have to be long-term. This can be for a 3-month period. And the students can learn a lot in that time and carry it over into their academic work at school. And then after a short period of time, they will be in the classroom, they will make friends, and it becomes faster. But at the beginning, yeah, I definitely recommend a private tutor.
在这个课程开始的时候，他的进度其实是比较缓慢的，因为他刚刚开始学习英语，然后学生和老师也没有特别的熟悉。然后在接触的时间久了之后呢，他就可以进度就会慢慢的变快。然后老师说他其实我们这里就可以做那个1对1的写作教学，然后可能如果想要进步的话，可能是3个月起这样，因为他认为1对1的私教的话，他可以看到就是说你孩子的错误在哪，并且直接指出来。因为上大课的话，老师可能就不会那么用心的去关注每一个学生，然后在这样一次一次的指出之后，他就可以自己就知道哪里是错的，哪里是对的，应该怎么做，就会有一个比较完善的英文写作体系。
Just like an encouragement to be with the student, the teacher and the student together, to encourage, to, good job, you're improving. And then after 3 months, I would say it can be okay.
然后他认为这个教学1对1教学的那个老师的鼓励是非常重要的。如果是进行的非常顺利的话，3个月之后他就可以写作的非常就是像美国人一样。
I think the best thing to say about writing, and this might be the final thing I can say in the time that we have, is it's a matter of confidence. And if you can build your confidence and not be afraid or be afraid of judgment, what your teacher's thinking, if you have enough confidence, it will go a long way in your schoolwork.
这就是写作，其实锻炼的是小朋友的一个自信心。当你能够有自信的写出来这个文章的时候，那其实就是他成功的一个时候。另外，其实刚才老师也有提到说，他这个 essay 的一个写作其实是有 academic， 就是说学术的要求的，不是我们认为的随便写一个议论、随便写一个日记的那种方式。所以一般的我们的写作课的话，老师也是会告诉他，帮他在这个学术方面做一个提升。到底学术上第一段应该是怎么样，后面应该怎么样，这个议论文应该要怎么写，这可能跟中文的表达跟我们中文的作文是很不一样的。好，那因为我们还会有之后的这个讲座，我会把大家的问题也都记录下来，我们也会在之后的这个公众号会有更多的这个相应的就回答，然后今天的问题我们也会整理出来给大家看。另外的话，我们就是除了这个私教课，我们现在也会有这个 Isee 我们推出的这个班课，那也就是说跟这边的小朋友进步在一起的时候，然后大家一同的来进步。好，那我们就会下面进入我们的这个演示课的这个阶段。OK。
Good. Okay, great questions. Let me just applaud you for your inquisitiveness on this test, and keep open contact with the school. We can always provide even more information at other times. But let's move on. We have a little bit of time now. And as you can see on the screen, there's a demonstration question. And so this is, I would say, perhaps a lower level vocabulary question. So you're going to look at your paper and you've got less than 30 seconds. And when you don't know what they mean, you'll be nervous. So for example, they're going to give you one word, sparse. If you know what sparse means, you can be done in 10 seconds and move on. That's awesome. When you know the meaning of the word. Lindsay?
Oh, I don't need to translate.
Okay, are we okay?
This is a demo class.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Right. So so I'll be there. If I'm teaching a class, I usually sort of approach it like this. Okay, guys. So look at the word, and there are some strategies that you can use. The one, if you don't know the meaning of this word, let's use a couple of techniques. The first thing is to guess or to imagine if it's a positive or a negative word. Sparse. In your mind, you can make an assumption of that. If you don't know, then you're going to have to guess because there are no clues in the question. So spatial, thin, vivid, lifeless. You should start canceling a couple of answers that you think are not right. So who's watching? Who can anyone talk to me, either here or online? Maybe this young man. There you go. What's your name? Hey, how's it going?
Good.
What's your name?
Michael.
Michael, Andrew, nice to meet you. Are you good in words? Okay, well, I don't know. Do you know what sparse means?
Like scattered everywhere.
So, Michael, you got it. So you would write down you'd circle the letter and you would just move on. But if you didn't know that it meant sparse, you're going to have to choose, and you don't want to make a mistake. And so there's no trick. You may get the question wrong. So I would say to you, cancel. So if we were going to cancel some of these options, which one would you cancel?
Thin.
Sorry? Oh, thin. Because you know thin, you know what it means. Do you know what all these words mean?
Kind of.
Okay, so what word do you mean? Do you know? And let's just go through them. Do you know what spatial means?
It's like kind of the same as sparse.
The same as?
Sparse?
Not really. Spatial means the awareness of room around you, a spatial quality. And this is the hardest word that you can see here. But thin is easy, and it's probably not the right answer because they're testing your English. And sparse and thin, you would probably have to cancel. Vivid. Now, if you kept a little vocabulary book in my class, I would say to you, Michael, write down spatial. It means aware of space. And then you would have a new word, you see, even though it's not the answer. So you would kind of write down a number of these words, and at the end of our lesson, you'd have, I don't know, 20 new words. So what's spatial again?
Like aware of the surroundings.
Yeah, aware of surroundings, that's good. Thin is easy, you know what that means. And then vivid is another, word that you should probably, oh, hi guys, sorry, I'm out of shot. Vivid is a common English word. And so do you know what it means?
Like lively.
Sorry?
Lively.
Lively and bright, and yeah, it's clear and bright. And so if you knew that, it could be the answer, but there's something positive about the word vivid. It's bright. And sparse, I don't know, would you say it was a positive or negative word if you didn't know, just by looking at it?
Negative.
Maybe it looks negative. Is there a reason why it looks negative? No, but we're using our intuition and we're thinking, I don't have any clues. I have to find the right answer. Sparse to me looks negative, so I'm going to cross out vivid, which is a positive word. And sparse, you could say, is negative because it means scattered and thin. Can you give me a sentence using sparse? Can you put the word in a context? Because that's going to help you in the other section, you see, the sentence completion.
The balls were sparse on the ground.
Yeah. I didn't hear what you said was sparse, but something was sparse on the ground, or the forest was sparse because the trees had been cut down, something like that. All right. So, in these first 20 questions, you're going to have very little time, but in our classroom, you'll come away going, I know what all these words mean. I know what vivid means. I know what spatial means. You're not just finding the answer with me. We're building vocabulary in the classroom. So that's good. Any questions about that? Anyone? Okay. Again, it does help if you know the meaning.
What's the answer, teacher, please?
Sparse. Sparse is thin. It's like a scattered, like a thin forest without many trees.
So it's B, boy.
Yeah. Did we make it? Yeah, it's B. It's thin. It's not spatial. It's not vivid. It's not bright. It doesn't mean brightness. It's not lifeless. But thin is sparse, like a thin forest or a sparse population of a country, something like that. Meaning it's not dense, which is the opposite of sparse.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. All right, let's move on to another one then. So here's a higher level word. This is an upper level vocabulary word, and it's the same structure. You've got one question and you've got answers, and all of these words are hard. So does anyone know what shrewd means? If you know, great, you're going to get the question right and you can move on quickly. But we are learning vocabulary here. We're looking at opposites and we're seeing if we can widen our vocabulary in the classroom, not just get the right answer. Not just get the right answer. We want to learn all the words. All right, then. So let's have a look here. Shrewd. Is that a positive or a negative word? Anyone? Shrewd. How does it sound? There's something about the intuition of your understanding that can help you. It's not a guarantee. Shrewd. Okay. Michael, what would you say? Positive or negative?
Positive.
It is a positive word. If you are shrewd, it's a positive quality. So if we can trust our intuition, you got no clues. You got one word, and you're going to have to make an assessment. Is it positive, negative? I don't know. I'm going to go with positive. Which ones can we cancel, which are not positive? Anyone watching or anyone else here? We should be able to cancel. You must be able to cancel at least 2. And so in a short period of time, you've got to make an educated guess. Otherwise, you're looking at 4 words and you just go, I don't know this one. And that's not a good way to do this. So which one's negative? Anyone watching? I don't know if you can see. You should be able to see. Poignant, astute, copious, tactile. If that doesn't help you and you can't decide which one's negative or positive, you can't use that strategy. And you may have to take a guess of your own. But we're here to learn words. So if this was your little notebook and we're sitting here together in my class, I would say to you, get up your notebook and write them down. And you would make a list of 4 new words. 5, actually. What's the answer to this? Does anyone know? Shrewd. Let me help you there. If I'm a shrewd businessman, it's a positive word. I'm shrewd. Unlike Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, we're shrewd. It's a positive. Michael, what do you think it is?
Like smart.
Yeah, it is smart. So one of these words means smart. Remember, this is a teaching demonstration. This isn't like, how to get the right answer, because we want to build our vocabulary. And if you say smart, I say good intuition, because it does mean smart. And we can remember, you'll always remember that shrewd means Steve Jobs, who was an astute, smart business person, right? That's going to stay in your mind because I'm acting it with you in the class. We're not just looking at the book, right? So you want to associate it with something. You'll never forget that shrewd means smart like a businessman, but we still don't know the answer. So poignant means meaningful and deep. A poignant poem, which has got some sad things in it, but it's meaningful and it's maybe a little bit sad. That's poignant. Did you hear what I said, Michael? What's poignant?
Can you say that again?
I caught you out there. It means deep and meaningful, like a poem that's got a lot of meaning in it, and maybe a little bit sad. So what's poignant?
Like deep?
Yeah, deep and meaningful, And we would go, and you would write it down again. Okay, so you got astute, poignant, and then you would go home and you'd be studying these words, and you would remember what we did in the class. Just because of time, shrewd is astute, and that's the meaning of it. It means smart. Copious means many, so you could be taking copious notes as I'm speaking now, and that you're writing a lot. Copious means a lot of, like copious notes. Tactile means something to do with the sense of touching, a very tactile. So if something is cold, you could talk about its quality as you touch it. It's very tactile. A person can be tactile because someone likes touching people, likes hugging. He's very tactile. It's an adjective. So Michael, if tactile is an adjective, do all these words have to be adjectives?
No.
They do. Because in this part of the test, all the words are from the same part of speech. So you should be thinking, if you know that, one of these words is an adjective, they're all adjectives. And that helps you a little bit. All right. Let's just do one more thing and see if this will help. These are sentence completions, right? Okay. Who wants to read it? Anyone want to read it out? Either online, you guys watching, or anyone here? Can you read the sentence? Michael, you can do it too if you like.
Architects define a physical structure as a set of materials arranged in such a way that these materials can blank the downward pull of gravity.
All right, so what's the sentence about? What's the story? What are they saying? Without, just remember what you said. You read the sentence. Do you remember what it means? What is it about buildings? What is it about gravity? What are they getting at?
They're defining physical structure.
Yeah, a physical structure, right, is something that architects build, right? So you have to understand the question. I'm not just doing the word. So architects are people who design buildings and they build them, right? Architects define physical structure, right, as a set of materials arranged in such a way. So arranged in such a way, right? This is what architects do. They build things, right, in such a way that can blank the downward pull of gravity. So what does gravity mean? Is gravity, everyone, right? You know what gravity means? Pull. It's the pull of the earth, so objects stay on the ground, right? So if that's gravity, what's the missing word? Architects are very smart. They are making sure that the downward pull of gravity, is that going to be a positive word or a negative word in there? Well, you have to know these words, and if you don't know these words, you can guess. So make a guess, use your own word. You may sit there thinking, I don't know what any of them mean. But if architects arrange materials that can, do they want buildings to come down? No, they don't want buildings to come down. Architects don't want buildings to come down. So we need a word that means the opposite. And the opposite of that, what's the opposite of wanting something to come down? I want it to come down. What's the opposite of that? Resist. They want buildings to resist the downward pull so that the buildings don't fall down. They want to resist it, so they make the buildings strong, basically. And so we can also learn these other words. So you would get your little book out, right? And you're going to write down all the words you don't know. And this is how we build vocabulary. Mimic means to copy. Resist means to fight against. Amplify means to, anyone watching? What's amplify? To make louder, to amplify, to make louder.
Expand.
Oh yeah, cool. Expand is good. And then dislodge is to move away something. And then to demonstrate is what I'm doing now, show it. And so you have, at the end of our lesson, maybe, I don't know, 20 words. And then you will go home and you'll learn those. So when I teach a class, it's active, I'm up, I'm talking to you, I'm bringing you up here, and we're making it a class that's interesting to be in, not just turn to the page, let's do number 7, and such, that's the style. Good, I think we're out of time. So that's it for today, guys. Hopefully that was useful. You've learned something, and we've sort of demystified the test, because it's not impossible, but it is quite challenging. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. And we'll talk to you again soon.
有关这个公开课到这里就结束，接下来 Isee 老师给大家带来阅读理解的公开课。